Percy Bennett Nickerson, and we live in Bethesda, Maryland.
And I'm Patrick Nickerson.
So right when we moved in, it needed a lot of help. We moved in 2015, and it was super outdated, and the cabinets were kind of this old, kind of orangey cherry, and there was formica on the island and old granite on the countertops. So right when we moved in, we didn't want to do a whole lot. So we painted the cabinets and we put in a new countertop and new floors, and that sort of lasted us for
About 5 years.
more than that. It lasted
5 or
almost
6
8
years. Until she got the itch.
And then, but then the cabinets started to kind of like fall
Right.
apart, and some of the
It started as a cabinet and appliances
Upgrade.
pitch, and it went from that upgrade to a design and build, and so then we started the interview process.
Yeah. Well, and the main thing that if we were gonna go ahead and make that step and buy new cabinets and new appliances, there was an island or a peninsula that came out to right here, and I wanted that to go back so that these two spaces were connected. And once we were there, we were in deep. So that's how we got there. We interviewed 3 companies, 4 actually, one out of Arlington, a couple that are really, really close by, and Hammer. So we
And
looked
how
at
did we
4
hear
different-
about Hammer? You were doing a
I
lot of
was
your
just
research on
Googling, yeah.
She's always on a lot of the networks. What's your big neighborhood one that you're always on?
Oh, yeah, so there's a
There's a
listserv for this neighborhood.
She's got listservs for this neighborhood,
and for the old neighborhood we used to
Glover
live in.
Park area, like a lot of, just keeping up with what's going on in the neighborhood. What are good services, and what are the Yelp ratings, and that type of thing. So
Before I lived here, I lived in Montana, and so I do feel like that my kind of design choices reflect that a little bit. I've always been, one of the things that's super important to me is that an indoor-outdoor connection, and the windows were already there, but you didn't really have access to them from the kitchen because of the peninsula that came out here. So that was sort of my main goal, because one of the best things about this house is that part of it backs up to state land, and so in the wintertime you can actually see the sunset there, and you can't in the spring as much. But to kind of help that connection happen, I really wanted this peninsula to go. And I also just think some of the style, I think a lot of kitchens, particularly in this area, are very white. Like they have white counters and white cabinets, and I definitely wanted something different than that. And I do like a natural look, I guess is the best way to put it, like exposed wood, real stone. So I did know that. I think that I've got kind of the big blocks, but kind of the outside, like the smaller kind of fine-tuning stuff, I definitely prefer to have a second opinion. And he's great on a second opinion, but a professional second opinion really helps. So I definitely I went for the tile, the backsplash. I originally wanted something much more complicated, and I'm so glad I didn't do that. And that was definitely Joanna and Rebecca kind of pushing me away from that a little bit. Other things like lighting spacing and kind of how you do that sort of stuff, that I missed that piece. And so it was really helpful to have that. And every time we'd kind of get to one of those questions, I'd be like, you got to call Joanna, because I don't know. I don't know how to answer this fully. I can give you a general idea as to what I want, and just sort of things like I knew I wanted black accents, but how that's going to work with having kind of these, not chrome, but the brushed nickel colored appliances and all that stuff. That final piece is super helpful, and Joanna was fantastic. Yeah, she's great.
we would recommend them, and our experience was very good. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that it gets better than that. I mean, I've done a bunch of kitchens and a bunch of bathrooms, and the guys that were in here working, like the day-to-day folks, were just so nice. And I also feel like, you know, their quality of work was really good, and that they really wanted to produce something that Renzo would get Renzo's thumbs up, which I think is a hard thing to do. Like, he really wanted it to look the way he wanted it to. It wasn't gonna take, you know, 9/10. He wanted 10/10 of the job, and yeah, so. And they were just so easy to have around. I'd come down here with my coffee and go in there and talk to them. They're like, oh, she's in here again.